I know you do it naturally now, but I want you to help us deconstruct some of your tactics so that we can also learn from you and do more of that. So for example, you've told me that you stay in touch with everyone, that you connect with people and then you keep the connection going. And you know people all over the world that are fans, that are other musicians, that are people in the business, and you really do keep in touch. So what are some of the things that help you do that? Because I have to say, this is something that's been always very hard for me.
I really take advantage in a fun way of social media to really, really, really connect personally, one-on-one with people.
Welcome to the TalentGrow Show, where you can get actionable, results-oriented insight and advice on how to take your leadership, communication, and people skills to the next level and become the kind of leader people want to follow. And now, your host and leadership development strategist, Halelly Azulay.
Talent growers, most of the time, as you know, we have people who are experts on something related directly to leadership that are interviewed on this show. A lot of times they're coaches or authors or consultants or even just leaders themselves who have a lot to share about leadership. But I also love to include people that are a little bit outside of the run-of-the-mill norm of what you might be exposed to as a leader and in seeking leadership development. Like we've had an award-winning chef, we've had a former FBI hostage negotiator, and even a philosopher. So today I'm adding to that list of unusual guests, and I have a rock star. That's right. I have a musician, a very, very talented, internationally renowned guitar player, bassist, and songwriter on, and Sean Hurwitz is his name. And what he does really well that is related to your career as a leader is his networking skills and his ability to create meaningful, long-lasting, engaged relationships with people all over the world. And so I've brought him on the show to share some of that juicy insight with you. Here we go. Okay, talent growers, I'm here with Sean Hurwitz. He's a multi-talented musician, producer, and songwriter. Passionate, energetic, generous of spirit, a guitarist, a bassist, producer, and writer, and a consummate professional whose trademark is attention to detail. His style is known as crisp and precise, and he's been described as exceptionally well-crafted. Sean and I have known each other for several years. We've become personal friends. He lives here in LA. It's kind of my neighbor. And he's an outstanding musician who has co-written, produced, recorded, and toured and played with top echelon artists you've probably heard of, like Enrique Iglesias, Smash Mouth, and Gin Blossoms. And even though I don't usually have musicians on this show, I always look for people that are interesting and have interesting career paths that have something to teach you. And I'm going to talk with Sean about something that he is uniquely excellent at, and that is building relationships and networking. Sean, welcome to the TalentGrow Show.
Thanks for having me.
It's such a pleasure to have you on. I'm glad that you took time out of your busy schedule. This guy is all over the world all the time. He's sending us all kinds of social media updates from, he's in Dubai this day, he's in Prague the other day touring, and has a very exciting life. So I'm glad that we were able to catch him and to talk to him. Sean, before we get started talking about your unique relationship building skills, tell us about your professional journey briefly. Where did you start and how did you get to where you are today?
Sure. Born and raised in Israel. In 2003, I left Israel in search of my passion and, trying to follow the dream. Moved to LA. The rest is history, but to keep it short, made a lot of friends, made a lot of connections, which I think this is what we're talking about on this show, and managed to make a name in the business. And I played with Smash Mouth since 2011. For those of you who know Smash Mouth. And I've been playing with Enrique Iglesias since 2015.
And you're playing shows like stadiums, right? Like 10,000 people or more in the audience.
Yeah, arenas, 10 to 20,000, stadiums, 30, 40,000. We're actually going back in a few days. I fly off to Israel to play Parque Hayalcon or Hayalcon Park, which we're expecting about 45,000 people.
Wow, that's insane. That's a huge, big deal. Well, that is very exciting. When I first met you, I did notice this about you, that you are so good at instantly and authentically connecting with people. And what I also noticed is that you're really good at staying in touch. And I wanted to talk to you more about that because some people are naturally good at it. Some people have it as a learned skill to connect. But I think a lot of people, even if they're good at connecting, are not that good at staying in touch. So first I wanted to ask you, do you think you're naturally good at connecting? Have you always been that kind of a person, or is this something that you learned later in life?
I have to say that looking back at my life, I'm pretty sure that I adopted this lifestyle once I got to America. First of all, you have to think about the fact that Israel is such a small place. If you know one person, you know the other.
Mm-hmm.
Los Angeles, and it's just, holy crap. It's just so many people in the industry. So I can't think of where I picked it up from. It may have been from a business book, more than likely, or a radio show like what we're doing right now, or even a friend I spoke to from the music business. But I'm pretty sure there's someone out there that I should be thanking for the advice for doing this.
Yeah. So let's break it down. Like, what was that advice? What is it that you do?
Well, first of all, listening to you talk about how I do this, because to me, it's just a natural thing. I'm not thinking about it as I'm doing it. I guess it's the same thing as playing guitar. Once you know what you're doing, you do it naturally. You don't think about it too much. It's sort of the same thing for me now, but the main thing behind it is I really, really, really enjoy meeting people from all walks of life, from all ages, I meet people all over the world, and it's one of the things that I enjoy the most.
So it sounds like you're just naturally curious and interested in learning more about people and knowing them. And that's what motivates you to do it. But I also think that you're a savvy career professional. You don't take this lightly. You think about your career in a strategic way, and you, I think, take proactive action to develop your success. And that, I think, is something that every person should be doing. You shouldn't leave it up to chance and up to whim, but you should be goal-oriented and strategic in how you approach it. And that's not to say that you're sort of using people or only connecting with people to get something out of them. I think you should genuinely enjoy the connections. But I also think that there is maybe like a more proactive approach. So this is where I know you do it naturally now, but I want you to help us deconstruct some of your tactics so that we can also learn from you and do more of that. So for example, you've told me that you stay in touch with everyone, that you connect with people and then you keep the connection going. And you know people all over the world that are fans, that are other musicians, that are people in the business, and you really do keep in touch. So what are some of the things that help you do that? Because I have to say, this is something that's been always very hard for me. I'll think about them often, but I don't always have like a method, or a practice that helps me do it when I'm very busy. And you're busy. You're flying. You're on a plane. You're off a plane. You're going to rehearsals. You're going to this city, to that city, to this country, to that country. How do you do it?
It's actually it's simpler than you think. It starts with the passion of wanting to keep in touch with people. And I'll give you an example. Recently, I had an interesting conversation with a friend of mine who's in the TV film production world. And he decided to delete his Facebook account. And he's actually trying to remove himself off the internet as much as possible. He's trying to get rid of the digital footprint, if you will, of himself. I've got zero issues with that. In fact, my wife just got rid of her Facebook. I totally respect that. You do you, I'm going to do me. That's fine. But on that note, that's my secret. That's one of my secrets is social media. No matter where I am in the world, I know whose birthday it is. I know what's going on in people's lives, and I make sure to keep track of it. Again, not as a strategy as much as I enjoy it, but it is a strategy. I know what's going on in people's lives, and I make sure to keep track of it. And I myself try to make sure to let people know what's going on in my life in case they're interested in it. When I use social media, and I mean Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, those are the main three that I use.
Yeah.
It is some of them more than others. Instagram, for instance, is a business strategy. It is me trying to keep in touch with people, trying to keep in touch with fans and promote myself. to answer a question that you asked a few minutes ago, well, it's about marketing, but it's all inclusive. A few years ago, I got on the internet and I was like, okay, let's look up Sean Hurwitz just for the sake of it. And I found a Sean Hurwitz. It's like 8 pictures show up on Google. 7 out of those 8 were some other dude named Sean Hurwitz, some entrepreneur from Detroit. And I was like, what? I'm in Smash Mouth. I play guitar all over the world, and this guy has the edge on me? Okay, something is not up here. Like, I wasn't jealous, but I'm like, what I was thinking to myself was, if I ever try to get into another gig, I don't know, maybe Enrique Iglesias, and they look up my name, I want them to see, not this. I want to have a presence online. So I decided to put up a website. I decided to do some reading about how I can make that happen. By the way, just total side note, I totally connected with that Sean Hurwitz, and we're really good friends now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I connected with him. I found him. He comes to all my shows in Detroit. Whenever he's in town, we get together. I've gone and hung out with his wife and him, with him and his wife. He's come to hang out with me and my wife. He's an awesome dude. But now, if you look up Sean Hurwitz online, you're mainly going to find me and a bunch of articles that I've done and my website and Twitter and Facebook and all of that. So that's a strategy that I really try to do as far as marketing. But going back to what you were asking about, the whole connecting with people, I really take advantage in a fun way of social media to really, really, really connect personally, one-on-one with people. And I'm in touch with that Sean Hurwitz. I'm also in touch with Daria Sabunia. That is she's an amazing, just happens to be an Enrique fan that turns out to be an amazing photographer. And she just actually told me today she won, she texted me on Instagram and told me that she won a chance for the, what is it called? The lottery for a green card in America. And I keep it really personal with people. That's my thing. But of course, I also take advantage of holidays and stuff like that to send people a personal message. I try to do that at the end of the year for Christmas. And for the end of the year, I try to really reach out to my hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of contacts on my email. I just go one by one and I send a personal message as much as I can, because that does take a lot of time. But the point is, I try to be on everyone's radar and make sure their lives are on my radar as well.
Okay. So you also told me that you, for example, when you're in town and you know people in that town, you try to meet them for lunch, that you try, because you've been talking about social media, but I know that you actually connect with people in real life as well. And that takes time, right? Like, I know for a fact that all of us are so busy that even though we would love to, in theory, meet people for lunch every day, there's probably more people than days of the year for lunch. So how do you decide, for example, whether to just make it a comment on social media with someone or an email with someone, or to actually physically drive to a restaurant, meet them for lunch, and that means that you've invested that kind of time? Like, how do you make that decision?
It's a good question. There are the two sides of it. First of all, I might get together with someone because they've helped me in the past, or they've been a part of my career, and I know them personally, and I happen to be in Sean Hurwitz's, I'm in Detroit again, so it's like, hey, let's get together again. But I really do have to weigh in. That's a really good question. I don't know, I guess it's a matter of how much I connect with someone online. Here's the double part is, it's not just about them helping me, it's also about me helping them. So I recently had some interviews and stuff go on in the Israeli media.
Yeah, they're excited about you, like, coming with a very big international name, that they have someone representing their country on that band.
Right. And by the way, they're excited about it because I sent out a bunch of feelers and a bunch of things to make them excited about it.
Nice.
People are like, oh my God, they're so excited. And it's like, do you know how much work I put in? Having on their radar. But sure. No one knows about that. But yeah, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and a lot of connections and a lot of things like that. And as a result, I had a few people. Some people hit me up and said, hey, can you get me tickets to Enrique Iglesias? And I was like, listen. And we took it from there. But there were also people that said, hey, I'm a musician in Israel. I was really inspired by this. Do you think we could get together somehow when you're in Israel and talk? And I said, well, I have a better one for you. Why don't we get online tomorrow? You have Facebook, I have Facebook. let's just get online. I have an hour to spare. Ask me whatever you got. Because to me, it was obvious that they're not Enrique fans as much as they have a goal. And if I can help them get to that goal, if I can give them some advice, I'm really happy about that. So to answer your question, how I fit it in and how I decide who, I do think there are dozens and dozens and dozens of people that hit me up every day. I do have to contemplate which ones are going to be worthwhile for me and for them. It's not just about me, but I want to make sure that, like you said, time is money and money is time. And I don't have a lot of time. I have to spend it wisely. So I do make sure before I get together with someone that it is going to be worthwhile to both of us, if not to one of us. Mm-hmm. And if not, there's a step before that, which is just, hey, let's get online and just chat real quick for half an hour. I'm happy to help if you've got any questions and I can help you. And if I don't see that I can help them with that, we can always just stay casual on Facebook or Instagram. I do that with hundreds of people. But another thing is, you kind of mentioned it, I'm always planning ahead. Even when I'm abroad, I'm planning on meeting with people when I'm home way in advance while I'm, still traveling and stuff. I'm always like, hey, dude, I saw it was your birthday. Well, I'm going to be in town in 5 days. Let's get together and let me treat you to lunch. Let me treat you to dinner. Or I see a friend of mine a singer who I haven't seen in a long time. I was like, oh my God, I see you're dating so-and-so. I'd love to meet them. Let's make a double date. I'm always trying to connect with people personally.
I mean, I really admire that. That's smart. So you think about it in advance, and it sounds like you're trying to leverage an opportunity for connection out of whatever else is going on. Like you're always thinking about double duty. I'm somewhere. Let me not just spend the evening alone. Let me spend the time that I have free with someone so that I can also add to my enhancing relationships goal.
Yes and no. I mean, I definitely, sometimes traveling so much, you definitely need to rest. I don't take every opportunity to meet up with people. I don't take every opportunity to go see the sites where I am, because sometimes it's just too much and you need to rest. But if I can, I'm absolutely planning that. I'm absolutely trying to get together with people, again, whether it's online or whether it's in person. To me, it's a very, very important part of it.
So I'd love for you to share your advice. You have a couple of pieces of advice that you've told me about when we talked before we recorded, about how you kind of found mentors early in your career. You find someone who's already been doing it successfully. You've thought about, I guess it sounds like you seek mentors, and it also sounds like you mentor other people.
Yes. One of the things that I do, that I tell everyone, no matter what business they're in, because it really doesn't matter what business you're in or where you want to be. The thing is, I always suggest to people, find someone. Once you decide, let's take musician for example, because that's what I am. Once you decide, you know what, I think I want to be a musician, go and figure out what it takes. Talk to someone that's been doing it for 10 years successfully, 10 years average, and hit them up. And, maybe it's not that easy to hit up. I don't know, I'm trying to think of a thing. Maybe it's not that easy to hit up Enrique Iglesias because you want to be Enrique Iglesias. But why don't you try hitting up 10 to 20 people that do what you do? One or two of them is going to say, oh yeah, sure, let's get together for lunch. Let's get together online or whatever. And yeah, ask me whatever you want. So when I came into this business, I met as a result of just connecting and trying to get out there and let everyone know, hey, I'm a musician, happy to audition for anything, happy to play anything. Just so you know, I play and I'm looking. And by the way, that's the same attitude that I have to this day. I'll do anything and everything. Yes, I'm a yes man. Like, let's make it happen.
What do you mean? Give an example.
Right now, when I'm in town, I usually am recording stuff for TV and film. A friend of mine or anyone could call me up and say, hey, I've got this gig that I just need guitars recorded for this artist. It's not an amazing song. It's not an amazing singer, but they're paying and we did this thing together and it's really cool. It's a cool experience. There's not a lot of money in it. Would you mind putting a couple of acoustic guitars down for $100? Yeah, sure. Send it over.
Why?
Because for me, it's not about the money. It's about, first of all, helping other people. I'm not above it. I'm not above anything. I'm happy to do it for $100, and I'm happy to do things for free if it makes sense to me, if it's helping someone. Mm-hmm. My mind frame is I'm not above meeting people. I'm at the same level that I was before I left Israel. Nothing's changed. Just because I'm playing 60,000 to 60,000 people or 10,000 people and touring the world, that doesn't mean anything. That could end tomorrow. For me, it's about connecting with people. For me, it's about helping people out. And as a result, sometimes I get help as well. So getting back to people helping me out, when I started in the business and let everyone know that I was looking to get busy, I met some people that I considered successful, that I was like, wow, I want to do what that guy's doing. He seems like he's doing it right. And when I say doing it right, I don't necessarily mean, wow, that guy's a rock star. I mean, that guy on a business level, people really like him. People love to use him. Whatever he's doing, I want a piece of that. And I would say, specifically in my case, one of the people that comes to mind is a wonderful drummer, a Canadian drummer that moved to LA probably about 16 years ago or so. His name is Randy Cook. Man, look up the name. He's played with everyone, just everyone. Too many people to mention, but the guy works nonstop. And everyone loves Randy. It's just unbelievable watching this guy in public. It's just nonstop smiles, hugs. Everyone loves him. And I was like, nah, that guy's doing something right. And over the beginning of my career here, I took Randy out probably to 3 different lunches. And he's a sweetheart. We're dear, dear friends at this point in time. But back then, he didn't know who I was. He was just like, yeah, let's go have some lunch or let's have a drink or whatnot. I would ask him everything. I'll give you examples in a second. But I suggest, to wrap that up, I really suggest that people do that and learn from people's experience. You may find out that it's not all what that it's cracked up to be. You may find out that it looks like one thing, but it really isn't. You may find out you don't want to be a musician. It may not be your cup of tea. It's a better thing to find that out at the beginning of the road than 8 years into it and find out, you know what, I don't really like traveling. I don't like being on planes. What was I thinking? What do you do now? So for instance, not too long ago, someone that I know hit me up. Now I'll give you the opposite side and examples of questions because this guy did it perfectly. A friend of mine said, hey, my nephew is just put out a single on Spotify. I was wondering if you could take a listen to it. Of course, yes. Why not? I've got a few minutes. Let's listen to it. I looked it up, listened to it. I was impressed. I thought the guy sounded really good. I thought it was a duo. And I said to my friend, I said, yeah, he sounds really good. And she said, do you think he could ever talk to you about things, And I was like, sure, yeah, just send him my email and we'll take it from there. I have my email, by the way, if anyone ever wants to email me. It's on my website, SeanHurwitz.com. And just as simple as it is, it's just contact@SeanHurwitz.com.
And we'll link to that on the show notes page.
Yeah. And I said, send the email. She introduced us via email. He got right back to me. By the way, super important. Whenever someone introduces me, I always get right back to them as soon as I can. So this guy was on it. He said, yeah, I was just wondering if I could ask you some questions and stuff about the music business. And I'm 19. I'm trying to think what to do. And I was like, absolutely. Let's get on the phone tomorrow or online, wherever it was. The point is we spoke the next day and he had great questions. He wanted to know about the business, and I got to respect that. He wasn't concerned with, man, so do you meet a lot of girls? That wasn't his concern. One of the questions that he asked what's such a great question is, I want to do this for a living, but I got to ask you, can you do this for a living? Is that can this pay for your lifestyle? And I thought that was a great question because so many people get wrapped up in, the rock star lifestyle. Like I want to have girls around me and I want to play on big stages. And did you ever think for a second if that can pay the bills? And this guy thought about it. And back in the day, I thought about it. And I'll give you another example. Someone yesterday said to me, a musician said, you know what? I just bought a house. I was very interested by this realtor. She didn't do a lot of job and she got a lot of money. So I'm thinking about getting my realtor license. And I said, whoa, dude. Just so you know, because I'm in the real estate investment business, I own a few properties and I'm in that world. Being a realtor is not as easy as you think. It is a lot of marketing. You really have to go out there. It's almost like being a musician. There are a million guitarists in LA. How do you stand out? Well, first of all, in my case, I had to let everyone know that I'm looking. And then I had to go to every audition. It was a terrible audition. It was a great audition, great band, shitty band. It was all, I had to go to everything and really stick out and really find myself and be able to make it work. That took a lot of time. So I'm like, listen, you might want to talk to a realtor about what it takes to be a realtor before you spend the money, before you spend all the time to get into it.
Yeah, that's really smart. So talent growers, I hope you can hear in what Sean is describing that he's focused on learning from people who have done it before him, but he's also constantly giving that same kind of input and insight to others. So it's always give and take, but it's rarely transactional. Networking is rarely about making an even quid pro quo, tit for tat transaction with one specific person. It's more about sort of in a holistic way. You give and you help others, and other people give and help to you. And it all kind of works out in the end. It all evens out on the big picture and rarely within a specific relationship necessarily.
100%. Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Well, we're running out of time, unfortunately, because it's always really fun to talk to you. And I hope that people will check you out. But before we do that, very quickly, what's new and exciting on your horizon, Sean?
Well, philanthropy for the last year and a half, I've been doing a lot of, when I'm in town, for instance, I go to a youth homeless shelter, and they have a recording studio that was donated by Miley Cyrus. And I go there and I record the kids twice a week. When I'm in town, I go there and they have a lot of stuff in their lives, and this is one way for them to just put everything aside for a second and write a song or record a song or just get some frustration out or get some emotions out in an artistic way. And I try to help them out.
Wow, that's cool.
I'm always looking for things like that. So, but like you said it perfectly. It's not a transaction necessarily. It's not about the monetary value. It's more about receiving and giving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I always tell people give first and give often, because that's the way that you can help yourself be ready to receive help when you need it, because people are eager to help you when you make yourself a generous giver.
Yeah, 100%. I remember we spoke about it. You had asked me if there were things that I could recommend for people that could upgrade their networking and relationship.
Yeah, this is the next question. Like, I would love one specific action that people can absolutely take this week that you think can help them upgrade.
Well, like I said, there's a bunch of different things, but the best one that I can think of is a book called Unmarketing that was written years ago by Scott Stratton and his wife, Allison. And it's all about how to stop marketing and start engaging, because I think in the years of 2000 to 2010, I think people were so all about the marketing. Oh my God, there's internet. We could just push our stuff on people, and there's so many ways to get to people. And it's like, okay, yeah, but where is the quality there? So his book is all about how to stop marketing and start engaging. And it's all about connecting and how important it is to get personal with people. And to give you a perfect example, I hit up Scott on Twitter after reading his book. We became friends. And last time I was in, he actually asked me to do a movie that he's doing about something similar to unmarketing, and he asked me to give an interview, and I said,
nice.
And I met up with him and Allison last time I was in. We had a show in Canada last year at I think in the fall. We were on tour, and I met up with them, and they were just sweethearts. And again, it's just all about connecting. So if I could give you one thing to take away from it, if you haven't read the book on marketing, there's a lot to gain from it.
Okay. We'll link to it in the show notes for sure. Yeah, I know that book. And I know Scott. I've seen him speak, actually. He's a cool dude, as you are, Sean. So we thank you so much for taking time to share your insights with the talent growers. How can they keep in touch, learn more about you? You mentioned your website earlier, so definitely we'll link to that. Anything else? I guess your social media, huh?
Yeah, I'm very easy to contact online. When it comes to Facebook, I have two profiles. I have my private one for family and friends, and then I have one that's more for other people. Mm-hmm. But when it comes down to it, if you just go to my website, seanhurwitz.com, all the links are up there. Even easier than social media, you could just email me, and I'm always happy. As long as I have people reach out to me all the time, and I'm happy to help and chat. I'm happy to teach them and learn from them. I'm happy to give advice and get some. As long as I have the time to do it, I'm down. So even if I don't get back to you right away, I will. I get back to everyone.
Great. And of course, go check him out in action. I will include 1 or 2 action shots on the show notes page just for fun, because Sean has some pretty cool photos, which, by the way, he gets from photographers who take pictures at the show and share those on social media. And then he connects with them on Instagram and asks them permission to use their photos. So he's always thinking about how to connect with people. It's a great example. Sean, thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate you.
Thanks for having me.
Talent growers. One of the most important things to do is to learn from people who come from a variety of backgrounds and come from other fields, not just your own. That is a way to ensure that you don't fall prey to tunnel vision and that you have new, fresh ideas and different perspectives to help upgrade what ideas you have and ways in which you add value in the world. So this was in part my intention here with bringing a rock musician onto the show to talk about networking. And I hope that you liked it. I'd love to hear what you thought. You can always leave me a short message by voice on my website. There's a little black tab on the right where you can just click record a message and it comes right to me. Or you can send me an email or leave me a comment on the show notes page over at talentgrow.com, really on social media, anywhere you'd like. I am always happy to hear from you. So this is the end of yet another episode of the Talent Grow Show. And I am still your leadership development strategist, Halelly Azulay, here at Talent Grow. And until the next time, make today great.
Thanks for listening to the Talent Grow Show, where we help you develop your talent to become the kind of leader that people want to follow. For more information, visit talentgrow.com.